Well, here we are again on this bright webcast, and I'm hoping you're beginning to enjoy the time with me. It's been a great pleasure, really, to come your way and just share on the good things of life. You know, I have observed many people through life that were continually sorrowful, depressed, unhappy. And I truly believe that one of the great signs that you know Christ and you're walking in the power of the Holy Spirit is to have the spirit of joy. And it flows over into contentment. St. Paul said, I've learned to be contented. Whatever state I'm in, I don't know where he meant, California or New York, but whatever state, whatever condition I'm in, I've learned to be contented. So it's a learned process. And always should teach it to your children very early in life. You know, St. Paul said something, it's just remarkable many times, but I was reading just today. He said in in Ephesians chapter 5, he said, but I want you not to be drunk with wine. I suppose that's a good thing right now because it brings excess. You know, you can get a person full of wine, they'll tell you everything and make deals they wish they hadn't. So it's excess. But he said, I want you to be filled with the Spirit. Be filled with the Spirit, because if you are, he said, you can sing to yourself songs and hymns, and you can give thanks always for all things. Oh, my sakes. You know, we get mixed up in thinking being filled with the Spirit, just all, joy and shouting and praises, and it is a praise and it is a thanksgiving, but it is being able to give thanks for all things. That's not simple. It'll take the Holy Spirit to do that. And you know, I want to tell you today, I want to give you a real opportunity to know what it means to be thankful. And this is not Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving every day of your life. Wow, is that a real test? But it's true. Charles Beard, one of the great old American historians, was asked when he came to the end of his life, what have you learned all your life? That'd be some question to ask every man when he comes to the end. You know, it's been said that whatever the man says in the beginning of his life is not as important as to what he says at the ending of his life. Jesus said, it is finished. That was the end of his life on this earth as a man. So Charles Beard said, I have learned that whom the gods would destroy, they first would give power. Ooh, that's a strong one. The mills of God grind slowly, but they grind exceedingly fine. The bee fertilizes the flower as it robs it. That was good. And his last thing was, he said, when it is dark enough, you'll be able to see the stars. That's what Thanksgiving is. That's what praise is. Thanksgiving, in my way, is what I call explodes the doubt, the cesspool, the depression, the fears. It's a strange thing that when Israel went out to battle, the first thing they did was not to send the archers and the swordsmen. They sent the musicians. They sent the choir. Isn't that an example? Instead of going into a battle with all swords, maybe it'd be a good thing if we would go into battle with some singing and some songs. That gives energy to the spirit and hope in the heart. So the warriors followed the music. It was the military last, and the music was first. How important that really is. I was, some time ago, I was thinking about a world psychological meeting that met in Madrid. And so one of the psychologists in speaking asked the question, what is hope? Anybody here can define hope. What is it? And then he said, I know all of us have had thousands of people in our offices who have been sitting there with us and And he said, they are there depressed, discouraged, despondent faces, skin hanging almost gray in color, like old cloth hanging over dead bones. Their eyes were dull, he said, flat, void of any sparkle. Here's one of the world famous psychiatrists talking in Madrid to other great psychiatrists. He said they were lifeless, lethargic, dejected, lifeless as a sack of potatoes. They had no form, no energy, no hope, no future, no plans. And he said, as we discussed and talked and opened and shared, and they'd be honest enough to share, I noticed pretty soon, after months, their eyes began to be sparkly and their face began to smile. They had some bright pink color on their cheeks because, he said, I began to realize that hope had come back into their lives. That is a tremendous illustration that the heart that is not thankful, it does not expel the darkness, it only encourages it. You're going to need somebody to talk to. Doctor, psychiatrist, friend, pastor, your rabbi, or someone that you know as a family member. You got to tell somebody how you feel. And then in doing that, when you express it, it has a tendency to explode the very doors that have locked you in. Marvelous. So Thanksgiving then exposes, and it explodes. St. Paul and Silas were sitting in prison. You talk about being discouraged. Their backs were beaten and raw they were. You know, I get a scratch and I'm hurting, and here these men, their backs were just raw with after being beaten and sitting in a prison. And at midnight, of all times, you know, people die at night more than any other time during the day. And at midnight, that's a marvelous thought when it's as dark as it can be. The sun was nowhere coming up near for them at that point. And it said, they began to sing. What kind of godly men were they? I was in St. Paul's prison in Rome. Yeah, I was down below. It's where the sewer runs through. And there's a sewer hole, and my leg fell in it. Could have broken it. And I thought to myself, here are men who understand that expressing praise, expressing thanksgiving, expressing appreciation, expressing to others, giving hope and encouragement to others, that it actually explodes the doors that are holding you in prison. And the Bible said, when they sang, the doors were opened and all the prisoners were set free. And they said, do yourself no harm, they said to the jailer, we're all here. My friend, think of that. It opened the doors and everybody was set free. You'd be surprised what that would do in your office right now, what it would do in your home, in your church, and in the nation. You know, much of our news, much of it, it's all negative. It's, you know, who died, who had a wreck, and who had, what did the government do, what did it didn't do. Isn't any wonder people are depressed. But if you would find something like this video, and you would play it in the night, I get letters from people that I can't even answer them. They're so long and so painful and so hurtful. I don't know what to do sometimes. I can't take the time to answer everyone. And yet I pray, and I send them on sometimes anonymously to others to pray. And it's midnight, and I got a letter, it's midnight, and I'm all by myself, sitting on the couch, and my family, my wife, and my children. It burdened me. Think now at midnight if you would start singing. If you would express thanksgiving, if you would express the joy of the Lord, if you would express thank God for what you have, even in our nation, if we would start giving thanks to God, you'd be surprised how strong we would become again. We're strong, let anybody kid you, but the strength that puts us in first place to lead the world in democracy. So today, I'm going to ask you to be filled with the Holy Spirit.